Hello everyone, we are team AsyncWorking. I'm 11, one of developer in our team, and I'm the host of today's presentation. We have 6 developers and 2 DevOps attending the presentation today. They are Grace, Rick, Sherry, Yuki, Simon, 11, Kathy, and Jackie. In this presentation, we will focus on 5 contents. They are project introduction, workflow and member composition, Lambda deployment, new functionality development, Swagger, and after presentation, we will have a Q&A session. Consider this project has already in the development stage before we join the team, so we will only focus on the development content after we join. The AsyncWorking is a project management service which mainly for small and medium-sized emphasized to internal project management software and to increase productivity. Our product is minimum and light. It provides just enough feature to allow team to work asynchronously and increase productivity. The project design inspiration is from Basecamp. Now let's move to the workflow. Today I'll walk through the process of implementing a new feature, which is one of the most essential part of the project. Once a developer is assigned a new task, he or she will have a private meeting with our business analyst. The meeting is to organize and clarify the requirement and use story for the specific feature. After the developer implements the feature and they complete the unit tests, he can call the peer review and keep making necessary adjustment until it meets the acceptance criteria. Finally, before the feature is deployed to production environment, it needs to test again by another developer and go through the user acceptance test, which is performed by our business team. Except for small pair meetings, we also have 3 group meetings, which require a role member to join. There are stand-up meeting, planning meeting, ritual meeting. Those meetings make team communicate more frequently and effectively. Our development team currently consists 15 members, which include 9 developers, 1 UI UX designer, 3 DevOps, 1 BA, and 1 project owner. Fiona. This picture shows the system structure of AsyncWorking. Now let's welcome our DevOps, Kathy and Jackie, to introduce more detail about it. Thank you.
Thank you, 11. Hello, everyone. I am Kathy. I am a DevOps engineer in our team. I will quickly show you the system structure of AsyncWorking and then talk about the part we did in this project. This is a picture of our system structure. Our React app was deployed to AWS S3 with AWS CloudFront as our content delivery network. Route 53 was used for DNS service. Our backend Java Spring Boot was Dockerized and deployed to AWS Fargate and ECS. Our PostgreSQL databases were deployed to RDS, and we have our email service deployed as well. Since the front-end, back-end, and the database were deployed by other DevOps engineers, Jackie and I only focus on email service deployment. The part I worked with is to deploy Lambda to AWS using Jenkins and Terraform. I created the Jenkins CI/CD pipelines and integrated with GitHub repository of Lambda functions in UAT and production environments. When the developer changed the code and the pull request, the Jenkins pipeline will be triggered to build. The build processes include checking out the code from source control management, archiving the Lambda files, creating S3 buckets at the first building, and uploading the archive files to S3 bucket. After that, the Terraform files are executed for infrastructure deployment and management. In the infrastructure, S3 bucket, AWS Lambda, simple queue service, data letter queue were created and added with related policy to allow Lambda to obtain the updated archive files from S3 bucket, integrated with simple queue service, data letter queue, and allow other resources such as CloudWatch and the simple email service to invoke Lambda function. Jackie participated in SQS triggering Lambda part. He will introduce how it works in email sending system. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you, Cassie. Currently, email service in AsyncWorking has implemented the function including email verification for new users and the password resetting for new users and so forth. As can be seen in the flowchart, when one user triggers email service, one message will be sent to the message queues. Where we adopt the AWS SQS here, then the Lambda function pulls the queue and invokes our Lambda function synchronously with an event that contains queue messages. The event source mapping is declared in the Terraform file to make a connection between this queue and the Lambda function. In addition, other two queues has been created as well. Specifically, after completing the processing the event through the Lambda function, some message could unsuccessfully be proceed to the next step due to various potential exceptions. Therefore, here is the reason why deadline queues is essential. All bad messages are saved in this queue, where we can monitor these messages and then investigate whether the issue was caused by our email service or the user email itself. On the other hand, if the messages are successfully proceeded, they also will be saved in another queue. Other modules may refer to the messages in the queue to implement further operation in the future. Finally, emails will be sent to the user. Here, we use the Amazon Simple Email Service SES to implement this functionality. Briefly, attach the SES policy in the Lambda function. Then email can be sent to the user's mailbox. So in conclusion, in the P3, we apply the Terraform to build the infrastructure for email service above and use Jenkins to implement the CI/CD pipeline. Okay, I think that's our DevOps part. Let's move on to our development part. Let's welcome to the 11. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie and Jackie. Now let's move to the next part, new functionality development. We have developed lots of pages in our project. Company page is one of the new pages we added in the recent sprint. We had added a new page about company for our project, which contains two subpages, crew and information. In the crew page, employee can see all the colleagues in the company and they can find their email address. In the information page, the employee can see the description of the company, and later I will add an editable function for company owner to add the description content. Now, let me pass to my teammate Grace to introduce the other parts. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Grace. We have designed the dashboard page of this application. The header part includes the name and the date. This date will automatically change if the time has passed by 12 p.m. And the body of this page includes 3 cards at present. The first card, upcoming card, it lists all the items that the due date is between the next 3 to 7 days. And similarly for the next 2 cards. Next, Rick will show the project page of this application.
Hi, hello everyone, I'm Rick. And this is the first page I did. It's an instruction page. When new users use our website, this page will introduce them to click the cross icon to create a new project. After clicking the icon, this page will pop up a window, and this window will be introduced by Yuki.
Thanks, Rick. Hi, everyone. I'm Yuki. I'm one of the developers of the team. So let me introduce the create a new project pop-up window. When user click the add button, the create a new project pop-up window should be there. And 2 ways can be chosen to create a project. User can use a template from the library, but this function is still in developing. So there I might introduce the add a blank project. In this window, there are several information required to create the project, and the form is mainly developed by FormMake. The benefits of using it is considering to deal with getting values in the form and validation error message, as well as handling form submission. Firstly, the project name cannot be empty, which means if the form submitting button has not received any value from the project name, it should be disabled. In addition, the validation of user input was considered. Thus, the YUM has been applied to set the error message as notification, and we create the code like this. And the project detail could be anything, so there is no restriction. Then the privacy of the project is associated with the authorization that I will explain later. Finally, during the submitting of the form, the button is still disabled and show the status that is creating, which implements by export FormMake state and set whether the status is currently submitting or not. And after submits the form, this information will be stored into the database. Then we will have Rick to introduce the next part.
Thanks, Yuki. And this part I did it's as the project message categories. This is a very important part for the project page because it can help create structure and give people an idea of what kind of things to post in the project. In this picture, we can see it has some default categories such as announcements and question. These categories are used to populate the new projects. They can be changed when click the pencil icon. And the blue marked part is created by the Add a Category button. In this function, the front-end part is mainly use the Material UI dialog component, and this part also uses React hooks, because hooks allow this part to reuse static for logic without changing the component hierarchy. And in the backend part, when the backend receives the HTTP post request, the created category data will be included in this request, and the controller layer will receive the post data transfer object and then send the response entity to the service layer. The service layer will deal this entity with some business logic and then send the DTO to the database. Finally, the database will save the created message category. And in the task section, it will create some to-do list sections. The front-end mainly is composed by the React Material UI formic, and the backend has the same logic with the previous page. The final data will be saved in the database to-do list table. And then Sherry will introduce her part.
Thank you, Rick. Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry, and I will introduce the to-do panel page. Our team has redesigned the to-do page inspired by asana.com, aiming at improving the user experience. The user can add a new section and then create new tasks line by line. For each task, the user can enter the task name and then choose the priority from low, medium, or high, and then assign the task to multiple people via clicking from the project members list or inviting teammates by email, and also choose a due date for the task. When the user would like to invite teammates by email, the input field will check the email input using formic, yup, and field level validation. For the whole to-do set in the red square, there are field values that could be used globally, such as whether it is adding a new task and the project members list. So our team has adopted React context when designing the to-do panel page. To be more specific, take the project members list, for example. The project members list needs to be used in the assignees column for each task, as well as to check the member when inviting by email. If we are not using context, what's the options? Option 1 is to call the API in every task to get the project members list. But the result is calling the same API too frequently, especially when there are many tasks, which probably impacts the performance. Option 2 is to pass the props from to-do set to to-do list, to-do item, to-do assigning menu, and to assigning form. That's totally prop drilling, which is undesirable and not easy to maintain. Therefore, in order to avoid passing the data to many child components in nested levels, we use React context, and all the child components under this context can use the data directly. Next, Simon will introduce how to invite people to the project.
Hi everyone, I'm Simon. Let me introduce the functionality of inviting people to a project. To invite people to a certain project, a window will pop up after clicking the Add button. The project owners are displayed in a list below the search bar by default, which cannot be edited or removed. In the pop window, once a search bar is clicked, it will list all members that can be selected to invite according to their roles and authority. The details of the authority part will be explained later by Yuki. For the open and close of the drop-down list, if the clicked part is not the search bar or its inclusive descendant, the value of the variable focused will be set as false. Otherwise, its value keeps true. This means the drop-down list will be closed if any part outside the search bar or the drop-down list is clicked. In the drop-down list, once a member is selected, he or she will be added to a name list below the project owner's name. In the meantime, the name of this selected member is removed from the drop-down list. There is a cross button on the left-hand side of the selected member's name. By clicking this button, this member can be removed from the select members list below the search bar and displayed in the drop-down list again. In this progress, multiple lists are used to handle the drop-down list. Firstly, we use API to get all members in the company and all members in the current project. Apart from this, there is also a list to handle members that have already been selected. Members that are finally presented in the drop-down list are all members in the company that filter out members in the current project and members are being selected. By manipulating several lists, members can be correctly displayed in the drop-down list to be selected and invited. For the next part, Yuki, would you like to introduce the authority?
Yes, thanks, Simon. Our group members designed this user authority table previously, so each function we developed just based on this table. For example, as a company owner, you can add people to the company and change the company name whatever you like. But if you are the company member, you don't have permission. But if you are not the company member, you don't have permission to do that. This is the previous version of the no permission page, which means if the user does any interactive activity that is out of permission, the web will tend to this page immediately. But it contains a potential drawback. That is, there is no notification for users and tell them you don't have access to do that before the user clicks the button. So this might confuse users. The button does clickable, but just lead them to the no permission page. So we update the design. If you are the company owner and a project member, you can do the selection priority of your tasks, assigning email, change due date, that is no problem. But all buttons will be changed to disabled if the project is public, but the user doesn't have permission to change things. Then we will have Grace to introduce the next part.
Thanks, Yuki. And in this project, we have added Swagger, mainly for API documentation. Swagger is used for developers to conveniently view and test the APIs. The dependencies we have added include Swagger 2 and Swagger UI, which Swagger UI is used for display API documents in the web browser. We have created a configuration file for Swagger UI. This is the main method in it. It creates a docket and adds all the information we need. For example, currently the Swagger is only enabled in the local environment and UAT environment. It means people cannot access Swagger or Swagger UI on the production version. Additionally, since our project has added JWT token, we also have handled this problem in this configuration file, added a security schema and allowing developers to access the APIs which needs the JWT token. Developers could view the document via Swagger UI by typing the address in the web browser. The web page will show like this, and it will display all the exposed API. If you click any of them, it will show the necessary parameters and the responses code in different cases. The developers can also send API calls via the Swagger UI by clicking the button on the top right corner here. Try it out. Since we have added the JWT token in our project, as for this problem, as for some APIs which need JWT token, it is necessary to type the token here into this text field, and then the users could send a request for all the exposed APIs.
Thank you, Grace, and thanks everyone. That's the end of today's presentation. Thanks everyone coming to listen to our presentation. And for now, any questions? 这是我们 login 的 page， 然后就输用户名、密码，然后没有的话就注册一下，然后我就直接登录了。登录进来，我们有 dashboard project 这两个还在开发中，然后有 company 和 setting， 就是 navigation bar， 然后 dashboard 是这样。然后我这个界面里面目前没有放什么项目，所以就比如说我们要加一个叫个什么呢 ？Another 不会拼，哎呀，1、2、3吧，不好意思啊。然后可以安排人，然后我现在我这个里面只有我自己，所以就只有我可以选 due date 的时间，比如选那个后天。然后等你选完了之后呢，你在 dashboard 里面就可以看到了这一个任务快要截止了。然后当你完成了它之后，你可以在这边勾选。然后你
们有没有人那个 contribution 的已经做了有个 UI 的样子？其实我们 dashboard 这个只有1/3现在。
对，我这个里边没有准备。
然后我们后续，我们其实下面有一部分是那个学的那个 GitHub 那个 contribution。
对，这个地方我们现在应该是有让 要不瑞克展示一下，因为我们这个
那个没做好呢，正在做。
就是我们下面这里不是已经可以看到了吗？
就是给看看，就是看看样子呗。不过 whatever 就是这样，就是其实我们的东西其实就是他们做的这个东西其实有很